This act of kindness segment is sponsored by the folks at the Creek House in the heart of Granville Island. They encourage you to open up your heart and reach out and help someone in need.
Well, we are back here in this last episode of 2024, and our familiar face here, our kindness ambassador, Mr. David McCann from Creek House. We're in the wonderful, very festive, Dave, Sandbar seafood restaurant here on the island. Come check this out if you haven't been to Granville Island in a while. Hey, some housekeeping to do first. I have been waiting, well, patiently to make this announcement. We can now make this announcement. It was made official last week. You are receiving the Order of Canada.
I'm just been made an officer of the Order of Canada. It's really a surprise. I'm shocked. And my first official act as an officer of the Order of Canada is to plead with Canadians to help. This is a heart-wrenching story, and I just am hoping for a Christmas miracle.
Yeah, you came to us and said, I've got the story, and you laid it out to Lita and I and said it would be great if we could get this in the last episode of the year, which is right around the holidays and Christmas time. So let's break this down, if we can, just to give our viewers a little taste, and then we're going to have somebody come on to talk a little more about it. This story just outraged me, but also broke my heart.
Yep. Jerry Bellard, a reporter from the Vancouver Sun I worked with on the Adopt a School program for years, called me and said, look, there's a family, 2 little girls and a mother. One daughter is suffering from a very rare brain disease and is eligible for a drug trial in the United States in Salt Lake City. They appealed to the federal government to a program to get costs for transportation and accommodations while they're there, and were turned down. They have the right of appeal, but they don't have the money to hire a lawyer for an appeal. And Jerry said, can you help? And I've never done this before. I'd give back the Order of Canada if the government would give them the money.
It's very sweet. Listen, people watch our show. They know the amount of goodwill and good work you do here. What do you want to do here? Like, what can we do to help this family?
I'm going to do 2 things. One is if the government doesn't come through and approve them for this program, this compassionate program, I will pay for the airfares. Unfortunately, I don't have the resources to do more. I will appeal to Canadians. I'll put a program in place. I'll ask Canadians to contribute. We've got 4 Canadians who are prepared to manage the money to make sure that it's sufficient. And we'll get this young girl down to Salt Lake City. We'll get her enrolled in the program. We'll see if this experimental drug actually works and saves her life.
Well, I tell you what we're going to do, we don't often do this with your segments.
We've never done it before.
Yeah, and also because of our time and everything, what we're going to ask you to do, folks, is go over to our website at ourcitytonighttv.com and go check out our episodes. We're going to talk to the courageous mother. This woman is a fantastic person. She's going to come in and explain a little more on our YouTube version. That's where you'll see the rest of this interview. Well, joining us now is a woman who is really at the center of the story we were talking about just a second ago, David and I. Her name is Linda Sutty, and she's here to talk about the ordeal that she has gone through with her wonderful daughter, Jada. First of all, thank you for joining us for this. Dave brought this to our attention. I have to say right off the bat, please tell our viewers, because I'd never heard of vanishing white matter disease. Your daughter suffers from this. Tell us about what this is.
It's basically a degenerative neurological disease. It's like the disease called vanishing white matter. The white matter in her brain is turning to fluid. So instead of the white matter having density, it's liquefying.
Right.
So June 3rd, 2016, she was in an accident in school, and it's resulted in her going to the children's emergency through the results of a CT, and then following MRI that weekend, the white matter lit up.
Right.
And basically, neurologists kind of knew what she was looking at from the journals, but she never said anything to us. They sent it out, our blood work, for whole genome sequencing. Mm-hmm. And within 2 months, it came back, and she kind of let the geneticist in the GeneX down in the States know what kind of area to look for, because otherwise it would have been like looking for a needle in a haystack.
Right.
And so, sure enough, it was a defective gene in the EIF2B. Well, there's 5 subunits, 1 through 5, and hers is the EIF2B5 gene. And there's 2 variants, so there has to be 2. There was a defective variant from my genetics and also from her dad's genetics.
Right.
So it was the 2 genes that came out, and both of us. It was, I think, 1 in 40 billion, or 1 in 40 million.
Yeah.
That we both gave her the same defective gene. So it was after the head injury that we had the CT that
And this
we discovered it.
Sorry to interrupt you, but what I was struck by too was that this was a very major act. This was just being pushed and falling down and hitting your head.
No, it was 2 kids colliding in gym. So she ran straight on into the side of a boy.
Yeah.
She fell back and knocked unconscious. And unfortunately, they moved her unconscious. They didn't know what they were looking at.
Of course.
And they moved her unconscious and didn't recognize grand mal seizure. And it was 25 minutes before paramedics were called. And so she ended up at Children's in the ER.
And
Every neurologist in Vancouver, every student, every fellow came through that weekend.
Yeah.
Because it's so rare. There's 200 cases in the world.
wow.
It's very, very rare. And I think there's only 6 or 7 in Canada.
Right.
So it's a small group, and it's unfortunately spread around the world. The first defective genes came from the Netherlands.
Right.
So there's research going on there, pediatric clinical trial on an orphan drug called guanabens, and that's happening 20 kids, no placebo. So that was the first trial that started when COVID started.
Right.
So we were excited about that, but Jada was too old for that one. This one we found out about with Dr. Bunkowski's research. It's called the Calico trial.
Yeah, so we should sort of interrupt you, but we should say that he is, this doctor, is he in Utah? Because this is where all roads we want to lead.
He's in Utah, Salt Lake City, Utah University. He's running the trial. He did research on zebrafish. Because the science was coming to the precipice of expanding, all the neurologists that were working on the science kind of came together, a consortium of neurologists to advance their science, but work together because they all need to share in such a small patient pool, right?
Yeah.
So that's we kind of knew Jada was too old for the trial in the Netherlands, but we knew about the Calico trial coming up. So we've been waiting for this, waiting for her to be 18. It's showing so much promise that they invited us early.
And this is how it comes to you.
So it's 11 trips to Utah, spread over 2 years.
It would, the commitment's 11 trips over 2 years.
Cost would probably be in excess of $100,000.
Yeah.
You're eligible for a federal government program to which they've denied you.
We reached out, we did an application to Jordan's principal. We have a lot of medical support. All the documents were all sent. We got denied.
Well, I've contacted a retired Prime Minister, John Chrétien, and asked him to intervene. And I'm going to be contacting today and tomorrow, 7 MPs. And I'm going to ask them all to intervene. And I'm hoping before Christmas that we get an answer back, yes. I'm hoping for a Christmas miracle.
I mean, we've waited for this science for almost 9 years now. I've kept Jada, her baseline, as good as I possibly can. We've come through a lot of adversity, a lot, and I've tried to keep her health as good as possible to meet the science and to give her the best chance. It can't replace the white matter that's already diminished, but it can upregulate that defective gene, and it can stop attacking the acetate cells in the brain and stop attacking the myelin, and it can halt. It can halt where she's at. And it also, in the mice models, it can actually help with the gait in the mice over or time lapse, it actually corrects the gait. And I don't know if that's possible in humans because it's the science in mice. But I mean, what a miracle if she could have the chance at stopping it where it's at right now. She's already struggled for 9 years, and she's in her favorite thing is to be just kind of, her craft is music. She makes her own music, so she produces her own tracks. She produces on computer with Appleton. She DJs, she plays keyboards, she writes her own songs, she sings. She's been Sarah McLaughlin School of Music for 7 years now. It's her passion, and she just dreams of having the chance of like playing festivals. And
her father was Cree?
Yeah, he is from
First
the Cowessess Nation. Yeah, and unfortunately, her Aboriginal family hasn't really had a big impact in her life because they come from residential school trauma. Both the grandmother and the great grandmother come from residential school trauma, so they haven't really been a big part in her life. But this disease used to be called Cree disease before 2004. Before the genome was mapped out and all of the genes were labeled, they changed it to vanishing white matter disease, but it used to be called Cree or Cash.
One of the things main reasons I got the Order of Canada was with the work I've done on reconciliation and healing. I'm going to reach out to see if I can get some of the First Nations to put some political pressure on the federal government as well.
I think that the biggest issue is just the people not knowing. Yeah. Like, we've tried to reach out to a few, like she met Ellen DeGeneres just before COVID. We've tried to, like, she just thought if she could just have a platform for like the other kids, because most of the other kids are a lot more affected than Jada. They've lost a lot of their mobility, feeding tube and breathing difficulties, and she's so far doing the best that she possibly can. She's not progressed too great, although she struggles with gait issues and with her cognition. But if we could just kind of relay to everybody like what it would be like for you to know that your body could fail at any given moment. So whether you have something planned today or tomorrow, or you have a trip next year, you just don't know when your body will fail, because that's what can happen for her. Right. She has like what they're calling seizure-like events. They're thinking there might be like migraine or seizure-like, because she loses being able to retrieve speech, thoughts, and use her body in those moments, and it can happen at any time. So
hopefully this is the platform.
Yeah. Yeah, because you guys have not had an easy go of it either. You lived, if you don't mind me saying, telling our viewers, it's not like you've got money lying around. You spent several years living in your car with your daughters.
I was in co-op housing for 18 years as a single parent. I was a single mom to 4. I had 2 with special needs. I had a son that was bilateral cleft lip and palate and had a heart murmur when he was born. So I had his disability, and then Jada in 2016 when this was turned on, or when we discovered it. And I also had my dad in his 50s start tripping, and it was muscular dystrophy lymph girdle. So my dad was quadriplegic for 18 years, last 18 years of his life. I had got him into my co-op before I had left it 18 years prior to. Right. And my parents were in a disability suite, and I took care of my dad as well. So I had 4 kids of my own and a dad that had disability. Right. So this is the role that I have as a caregiver, but it hasn't been easy because I haven't really been able to work outside the home. Right. So I budget on a very, very tight budget. Yeah. We were isolating for the first year of COVID, and for the second year of COVID, we were put out of my housing over an insurance deductible for the co-op for a bathroom sink overflowing, and it was for the common area of the co-op. But I didn't have $10,000, and they put it on the ledger like it was in arrears rent. And just with everyone being shut down for COVID, it went through Supreme Court for commercial law, which is what co-ops are under. Right. And unfortunately, I never got the the Zoom. I didn't have a lawyer. I couldn't get a lawyer. Like, class doesn't operate in Supreme Court. Like, it was just, you don't qualify for legal aid when you're in a co-op because you're a shareholder of the total
Oh, I
value
didn't
of the
know that.
property.
Wow.
Yeah, so there was a lot of
between the cracks.
obstacles.
Yeah, that's what we were saying. This is falling through the cracks.
I reached out to Sam Sullivan's office at the time. And then John Horgan had called the election, and I reached out again when the election was being called, so no one was sitting. And then I reached out, it was around Christmas, and I reached out to Brenda Bailey's office. I talked to her
Sure.
assistant, but unfortunately the timing, it was like everyone was shut down for COVID. It was Christmas. It was so, but anyway, we ended up having to leave our place from Supreme Court sheriffs.
Yeah.
And we spent 2.5 years trying to find housing and survived
Do you
in
have,
the
now
SUV.
you have housing now.
We have housing for the last 2 years. We got into a 2-bedroom disability suite. So very thankful for Tikva Housing, where we've got housing. But my car is on a shoestring.
Slice.
Like, we have no heat right now, and I ran it into the ground being homeless in it.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
like, and
yeah.
it's a Kia Sorento, so I tried to buy the safest car I could for $5,000, and to find out that the engine can spontaneously combust. So,
Yeah, right.
like, it has a recall on it, and I don't even have the time to not drive it to bring it for the recall.
Right.
Because I take Jada to school every day. She's doing her grade 12, amazing. And also she's been in Sarah McLachlan for 8 years now, and she goes 4 times a week to Sarah McLachlan School of
That's
Music.
great,
So
yeah.
she can't take public transit, she can't be in the sun, and she can't hit her head, and she can't have a temperature over 37 degrees.
Right.
So it's very fragile. And so I drive her for everything. And unfortunately, I can never bring my car in. I don't have the expense to bring it in. Like, I literally just have to keep driving it and hope that we keep going, right? So, if we could, I know if we could get the support or get the country behind us to, like, help Jada, like, reach her dreams of just, like, halting, at least getting to something that we can try.
Right.
You know, because up until this point, it's been terminal, progressive, no treatment. There hasn't been anything to treat. So we've only been doing appointments every 6 months.
Yes.
And it's just checking in with neurology and biochemistry. So if we could get to stopping it.
Let's see what we can do.
Well, what we would probably want to say now too, Dave, is for the viewers that have followed us over to our website, our YouTube channel from the TV version of it. What can people? How can they help and support? Get in touch with you.
You can get in touch with me. My phone number will be on the screen.
Yep.
We're certainly going to set up a fund. We'll have 4 prominent Canadians that will sign and make sure that the funds are spent and flow appropriately. And hopefully the federal government will come through before Christmas and say, oops, we made a little tiny mistake and you're approved. So we're going to do everything that we can. I'm going to reach out to everybody that I know and ask. And we've never done a show like this before, and I have to thank Jim. I have to thank the Sandbar for giving us this thing.
Yes, thanks to Sandbar for.
I'm really hoping for a Christmas miracle.
I think you've got a good champion on your side. Working with him for the last couple of years on these kindness segments, he puts his mind to something, he'll get it done.
I'm thrilled. It's the only thing that kept me going, as I just knew that eventually there would be a time when it would all come together, and that would be the time. Sometimes that's what these things are about, is timing.
Timing, sure.
And like, we've kept her good for these 9 years, but now the science is here, and now it's time to kick it into high gear and support her, and hopefully this will change her life, and then you'll get to hear her music. You know.
Well, there will be a follow. We're going to be positive and say there will be a follow-up story that Dave will present to our viewers. So. Thank you for coming in today.
No, thank you
Thank
guys.
you very much.
Yes, and thank you to Jada, who's just off camera. We appreciate you coming in, Linda. And again, Dave's number is up on the screen, his email address. He's always working, so you can get a hold of him. And again, let's wrap up by saying congratulations on the Order of Canada. This will be something as a participant, actually a recipient, I should say, of that. This will be your first act of kindness you're going to do under that banner. Thank you, and thank you, Linda.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
This Act of Kindness segment was sponsored by the folks at the Creek House in the heart of Granville Island. They encourage you to open up your heart and reach out and help someone in need.